Hello and welcome. This is Dr. Cynthia Howard, and this is your live stream Tuesday, February 10th, 11:30 Eastern Time. And I am excited to talk about another topic that is going to help you, whether you're in business, whether you're networking for a new career, or in any way wanting to expand your influence. Networking, it does a lot of things for us. But in today's world driven by AI, it seems like we have less time, doesn't it? All of these tools should be adding more time. We're going to talk about that in another live. But in this one, I want to talk about how networking can really work for you and maybe what you're doing that isn't necessarily helpful and a few hacks that you can do to make it more useful. So I'm going to be glancing down periodically, looking at my notes because I don't want to miss a thing. So networking, most people think of networking as going to events, collecting business cards, shaking hands, bringing your big smile, and maybe your pitch. Well, it's also helpful to do some homework beforehand. Who is holding the event? Who's the audience? Is this audience for you? And is this something you need to attend? There's nothing wrong with attending for social reasons, but if you really want to optimize your time, you're going to be thinking about this ahead of time, thinking about the event ahead of time. You may even want to start reaching out on LinkedIn so that you can optimize that impact. Because when you get there, it's great to have a business card, and I definitely agree that the hard copy physical business cards are still in despite people having digital cards because we all like to hold something in our hands. So when we're going to an event, it's nice to have something. But what you also want to do is have your LinkedIn QR code queued up so that you can connect directly with people on LinkedIn. Have them connect with you, then you can go back and connect with them. Because once you have that first degree connection, you can send them a video message. And we're going to have another live that's going to look at how you can do that. So the purpose of these different tips is for you to think about networking. It's not just collecting business cards. You really want to be building relationships. You want to be establishing authentic foundation for relationships. So if you're used to thinking about your networking as a volume driven event, how many people can I meet? How many people can I talk to? Because I have those goals too. I'm going to talk to 5 unique people every week. Well, those need to be curated people. It needs to be intentional. Are these the right people that you're talking to in your market or someone that may be tangential to your market, but that can be an influencer for you to bring you in to that specific person? So the second thing, or the third, that you want to think about when you're networking, particularly because you're looking at building relationships. Who do you want to have a one-to-one with? Who is somebody that you're going to invest your time in? Now, they may not directly be able to do something for you, but building this relationship could in the future bring you other people or open doors. So think long term, think strategy, think network. So when you look at a network, and you can just go on any social media platform. You have your first level connections, but then you have those connections that expand from that. And that's what you want to build and then market. The other thing is remember, and I talked about this in another live when we were talking about interviewing, you're not there proving yourself. You're not there regurgitating all the great and wonderful things that you do. Listen openly and keep in mind that you are a problem solver. But before you can add value or before you can problem solve, you have to listen to what their needs are, to what their problems are. Listen to how they're thinking about their problem. How are they talking about it? In what way can you position yourself to be the number one solution? You're not selling. You're not selling yourself. You're not selling anything. You're making a connection. And I know for those high achievers out there and those people that are like, let's just get to it, asking directly for the sale right up front isn't always the best approach because number one, they need to know you, they need to like you, they need to trust you. And if you did your homework before the event, they're going to see that you've already reached out on LinkedIn. That's going to put them at the top of their mind, put you at the top of their mind, because they're going to know that you're committed to doing business, which means you're committed to adding value. Okay. So then you want to also look at how can I serve this person first before they're going to give me something. So you may want them to sign up for your newsletter. You may want to get their email address. But again, by active listening, you are going to be doing a deeper understanding of what it is that they're looking for. Because in that dialogue, as you're listening, they're going to be talking about their problem. They may be talking about solutions that they've tried in the past. So you know how to counter yourself without having to ask them detailed questions. Down the road, you can ask them questions, but in the beginning, you want to establish that relationship through active listening, making eye contact, understanding their problem, having them recognize that you are willing to understand their problem, because in today's world of distraction, so keep your phone on pause while you're in a conversation versus picking it up and looking at who the next person is that's texting you, it's going to go a long way if you give that person a few minutes of your time. And since you've done the research and you recognize that, yeah, this person could be in my funnel, even if they're not a direct consumer of what it is I'm offering, they know someone who is going to help me be get to that referral source. So there's a little bit of homework you do beforehand. And then when you're there at the event, make sure that you are reaching out to people first. Work the room, talk to people. Now, I understand for those introverts out there because I too am introverted. And believe it or not, it's about 50-50 in terms of the number of introverts to extroverts. So one of the hacks that I learned recently, which I thought was very cool, was to imagine a switch on the inside of me connected to my social battery. So I'm going to make sure that when I go into that event, I am not drained. I am actually on, and that switch is turned on, and people can see my vibrant enthusiasm, my passion, my personality. Recently, I talked with someone at an event that was so enthusiastic about her topic, I could not help but be drawn into it. And I was captivated and I wanted to learn more. And I made a point to get an appointment with her, even though she is definitely not directly related to me. I knew that her passion was going to be a connector that I could then leverage down the road because my interest in her was matching that passion. And she then is going to help me later. So you are building connections that you can then leverage at a later time. So while you're networking, I really want you to think in terms of building friendships of people that you haven't yet met. Okay. Because the longer that I've been in business, the more I realize trust is not something that comes easy. So when you start to cultivate that trust, and that's through simple eye contact, genuine interest, giving people your time, and that time can just be a few minutes, but it's got to be dedicated time. You can't be distracted looking at your phone, looking at the next person that you're going to talk to. No, you want to be on them because we all want to feel heard. We all do. That's just a basic level need. So if you're giving someone that, you are then in the top of their mind and they're going to remember that. So as you network, think about, I am meeting friends that I haven't yet met and I am learning about their business. You're in a learning mode. Recently, I met someone who does the exact same thing that I do. Now, I know we do it differently because of our personalities, because we might have different targets or different projects, but I know that we can collaborate. So one of the other tools that you want to use is how can you collaborate before you're directly asking for any business. Look for a point of collaboration. So I do a podcast. I'm going to ask her to be a guest on my podcast, hold an event. I may bring her in as a guest. So how can you collaborate with this person? Maybe there's a cause in the community that you both agree with and you are going to connect over that. So while you're in the event, you're looking for how you can serve, how you can collaborate, how you can learn more about that person before you even start sharing about you. Because I can promise you when you do that, they're going to ask you, now tell me about you. And they're going to give you that same level of respect and attention. Now, this is a tip that may be good in some ways and not in others. So being vulnerable is always good. It's the degree to which you're vulnerable that is the question. So being vulnerable means that you are sharing something, not the most raw moment of your life. Okay, that is not vulnerable. Being raw is never good in any situation because you are going to have unfiltered emotions and that is going to just hijack the entire conversation. Being vulnerable might talk about a fear. For example, you know that this person knows that other person. So you could say, I have not known how to introduce myself to that person. Would you be willing to make that introduction? Now that's a vulnerability. You didn't go deep. You didn't go into any kind of major psychoanalysis. You just said you didn't know something. So being vulnerable can be simple. Later down the road, you might want to share why you were that way, but it's not really necessary in most cases. Okay. So understand what vulnerability really is. Another tip that could be helpful is you could ask for advice, but I only do that in certain situations after I know that I can trust that person is going to give me credible advice. So you're not going to ask somebody how to do something when they've never done it. I'm not going to ask a very new business owner about long-term strategy. Okay, because a lot of people think they know a lot more than they know, and you're not going to get good information. You're also not going to make a connection with them because the whole point of asking is to make that connection with them, for them to be able to appreciate that you are real, you're authentic, you're genuine, and you're not a know-it-all. Okay? So here's the next and final step, and that is follow up. This is where people drop the ball. Seasoned salespeople do not follow up the degree to which they should. Now, we talked about LinkedIn. So you're going to, in following up, you're going to go back after the event and you're going to follow up with people with regard to what you told them you were going to do. If I invited people to a podcast, I'm going to send them an email inviting them. You could just say, it was great to talk to you. I enjoyed hearing about your passion project. Give a few things that you remember about the conversation, and I look forward to meeting you for coffee. What are you doing in 2 weeks? Give a date or two with a few times so that that person can then consider that. versus going back and forth with, oh, what time do you have? What time do you have? So the follow up is also on LinkedIn or any other digital space in which that person dominates. If they're a big Instagram influencer, be on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, wherever they are, you go and you follow up with them. Now, LinkedIn has an incredible feature where you can send a video, a short video. Hey, we met last night at the Coffee Underway at this group. I just loved hearing about this or that. I wanted to say what a great connection. I can't wait to learn more about how we can collaborate. Boom. It takes less than a minute. You definitely don't want to drone on and on. You want to just keep it short and sweet. Okay. So if you think about building connections versus networking, I think you're going to move further, faster when you look at how to build your network. Because network has real time value. You know, the extent of your network translates into business. The more people you know, the more opportunities there are. And that's why you want to be intentional and purposeful about the events you go to. So there are people that are saying, hey, this event was so great, you really need to go to it. We'll find out why. I went to an event recently and there were a number of new people there and they came because their friend dragged them there. Well, sure, you have a few drinks, you have a fun conversation with people, but you just spent 2 hours. So in my book, the Work Smart Principle, which I don't have a copy here, is talks about the value of time. And I think I'll do a live just on the value of time and the value of your time. So consider that not all events are for you. They may be fun, but if you are serious about building your business, about finding that next career opportunity, you want to be intentional because you want to have some downtime for you so that when you do go to the right networking event with the right people, you are energized and you are on. So I'm just going to review, do your homework ahead of time, learn about the group, learn about the people, start making connections on LinkedIn before you even go. Go with an open mind and ready to listen. You're not selling yourself. You're not proving yourself. You don't have to talk about yourself. You want to be open to listening. Now, there's nothing wrong with sharing about what you do and being loud and proud about it, being very confident, but keep it concise because in a networking event, there's a lot of noise. People's brains are full and they're going to need snippets. So case in point, I went to an event, I was just standing by and somebody said, "Oh, you do this." And she actually was a financial planner. And instead of talking about the outcome that that person could get from her, she told a story that went around and around about a problem that a person had that didn't relate to her audience, the person she was speaking with. I got lost in the conversation. I could tell the other person's eyes were glazing over. So you want to be able to be concise in what your messaging is. Now, it's fine to ask how the family is and to talk about vacation, but keep that short because everybody there knows that you're there to make these connections. So come knowing what your outcome is. For example, I do branding and strategy. I help leaders and business owners transition in an AI driven world. I'm going to save you time, energy, and money. What is the outcome that you're going to be doing? And we'll have a live on that, but it is probably even more important than your 30-second elevator pitch, because in that elevator pitch, you're telling people who you work with, what you promise them, and how you're going to do it. But if you can just say, I am a problem solver for restaurateurs. There was a woman I met, she had a very niched market. So she helped restaurateurs and chefs focus on the right thing by handling their inventory and their pricing structure. So now the chef can cook, he can create the menus because she's got the back end with the pricing and the inventory. Okay, so you're building a network, but you're building friendships because you want people to see you as the problem solver, as the person that's coming with solutions. And that means you've developed your ability to listen, make eye contact, and then make those connections between what their problem is and how you might be able to help. Sometimes the best way that you help is you connect them with someone else, which is another thing I happen to love to do. And at another event, that's what I did. And both of those people were very excited, and they will also remember me because that was very meaningful for them. So I hope this was helpful for you. If you do have an interest in learning what your strengths are and wanting to have a strategic plan to build and grow your business, reach out, contact me, get on a strategy call. It's free, complimentary. There is no substitute for a direct conversation that's focused on you. So until next week, stay energized and stay focused.